We're wired for generosity, but we're educated for greed. And to me, it seems like service is the X factor ingredient in the secret sauce for becoming great. What's going on? You're listening to episode 101 of the Perspective Podcast, and I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective. This show is fuel for your mind and creative grind. My guests and I provide the tools to find your voice, overcome adversity, and make an impact with your work. I'm all about building community, so at the end of each episode, I share the love and plug a listener of the week. Stick around to the end to figure out how you can get a shout out in a future episode. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Industry Print Shop out of Austin, Texas. Industry is the authority in screen printing, apparel, and posters. Their all-star staff will guide you through your order process and help you rock your vision from an idea to a tangible product. Check out industryprintshop.com or follow them at Industry Print Shop on the grams. Real quick, I need to just give a massive thank you to all of you who listened to episode 100 last week and supported the show by buying the new merch or sharing the episode with your following. That's massive. That's how the show keeps on growing at this rapid pace. It's truly incredible. And finally, thank you to those who've participated in the Perspective Podcast 100 hashtag prompt. It really means the world to me, and it's going to fuel the drive for the next 100 episodes. There is still some limited merch out there, so go to perspective-collective.com/shop before it all runs out. Thanks again. October, by far, has been one of the craziest months, prepping for episode 100 and all the 4 different merch items surrounding it, and not going to lie, I bit off way more than I could chew, but in the end, it always works out. However, at the beginning of the month, though, I received an opportunity of a lifetime that was too good to pass up, which made me pretty much press pause on everything else I had been working on. So, I felt a little bit behind catching back up with everything through the end of the month, but again, it all works out. So later on, I'm going to tell you the full story, but on October 4th through the 6th, I spontaneously got the opportunity to attend the Summit of Greatness in Columbus, Ohio. This is a monstrous conference that brings in the world's greatest minds and talents in entertainment, public speaking, fitness, health, and personal development. I'm a very extroverted person, but the type of people I was surrounded by at this event really made me uncomfortable, which is exactly what I needed. Attending creative conferences in the past like Creative South, Crop, Weapons of Mass Creation, Creative Works, all of these allowed me to find my people and help me tap into my creative gift. But when I attended this event, I felt like I found a whole new level of conscious achievers who were playing it big in life and fully believed in themselves, their identity, and mission. It was an inspiring, empowering, and life-changing experience to say the least, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So in this episode, I'm stoked to finally get around to breaking down the following. So 1, we're going to talk about the definition of greatness. 2, we're going to talk about why you were born for greatness. 3, my top 4 takeaways from the summit. These are going to be good. And number 4, my declaration of intent for life and my creative grind moving forward. As always, I ask that you keep an open mind. Perspective Podcast for a reason. Think big and act on any concept or idea that hits home with you throughout this episode. And let's keep this rolling. It's been amazing connecting with you and hearing your thoughts on the last few episodes. So again, I would love to see you take a screenshot of this episode or whatever episode you're on and tag me on Instagram at Perspective Podcast or my personal podcast page. And let's connect over stories. You're listening to episode 101, Born for Greatness. Let's go. Now, let me set the backstory of how all this happened. I said I spontaneously attended this conference. Well, let me tell you how. So back in September, my all-time favorite basketball player and probably my most favorite celebrity is Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant was on the Lewis Howes School of Greatness podcast. And I hadn't listened to this podcast in quite some time. I go in these phases and these seasons of, I'm really on this high and I'm creating content and I'm just unstoppable. There's a huge fire lit under my ass. But then I dip into a season of I feel a little burnt out and I go into like entertainment consumption mode. Like I'll just go and binge the whole series of Game of Thrones on audiobooks. And I fell out of Lewis's podcast because I just fell in this other rotation of entertainment consumption and a little bit uninspired without direction. And I listened to this episode not only once, but twice right off the bat. And I caught that spark again. I had that fire lit under my ass. What I've learned is I've really been studying Lewis. He's an expert at giving value and prompting you to share, which is exactly what I did. So I took a screenshot of that podcast I was listening to and I shared it on my stories. And, you know, for me, I just wanted someone else to listen to this because Kobe Bryant, his mentality, the Mamba mentality, and his work ethic and his grind and his overall mindset, man, it's incredible that a human is wired that way. And so I shared it, tagged Lewis, didn't think anything else of it. Well, little did I know that was going to spark a conversation that would lead to so much bigger things that I could have never expected. So first off, Lewis has almost 1 million followers. He's just a juggernaut in the personal development world, the marketing world, social media. And we sparked this dialogue going back and forth. He thanked me for sharing, yada, yada. And first off, it's insane someone with that many followers is actually replying to that many people. So mad respect for him. It gives you and I no excuse to get back to everybody on social media. Emails is my weakest link. That's really hard. He doesn't have a kid. I do. So I'm using that as my excuse. But anyways, from this conversation, he ended up scrolling through and liking some of my work. And then he followed me. You know, not a big deal, but in a way, how this story takes shape, it kind of is. So I reached out back to him, took initiative, and I'm just like, yo, thank you so much for all the value you've given me. And ever since the Kobe episode, I've just like been binging all of it. It's just given me this timely message that I've needed at this moment of this season of my life where I'm just trying to figure things out. And I offered my services to him. I offered, hey, is there anything I can do to, you know, create and give you some value back? I asked to give without zero expectations to receive anything in return. And it just so happened he asked me if I could create a piece called Born for Greatness. Hence the artwork you see today. Well, I was jazzed out of my mind and dropped everything I was doing for a few days. And this would have been sometime late September. I had some freelance going on, prepping episode 100, trying to get ahead of the podcast. And I dropped everything. And with my wife's permission, of course, because we had a newborn. Eventually, him and we arrived to the final design, going back and forth just through DMs. And he inquired about putting it on mugs. So again, I dropped everything I was doing. I scavenged the entire internet, about 20 different sites, spent a couple hours just getting quotes and previewing designs. And let me tell you, there's a lot of shitty online coffee printing places. Not user-friendly, horrible UX, horrible UI. It was just not a good experience. And finally, I found something, though, that fit his price range. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like something big's going to happen from this. And I asked for it. I'm big on asking, just like we talked about in episode 100 in Austin's section, law of attraction. And I asked out loud, I'm like, something is going to happen from this. Something big's going to happen. A big opportunity is going to come my way. And in my mind, I thought this was going to be maybe leading to a paid freelance opportunity with him. Or maybe I'd get him on my podcast or something, and I'm not ruling that out. That's going to happen someday. He's not listening, but I'm asking and I'm putting my intentions into the universe right now. Lewis will be on my podcast. Well, regardless, knowing these things from the law of attraction, you learn to keep an open mind. So what you ask for may be wrapped up in a different gift with a bow than what you expected, and that's exactly what happened in this case. It was disguised as something else, this gift. And so he came back to me, the mug, the design all kind of fell through. Not going to lie, I was bummed, but it is what it is. I had a dope piece I was going to repurpose for something like this. But he ended up coming back and he was just like, yo, do you want to come to my summit next week? And I'm like, oh, crap. What? This was the gift. This is what I asked for, just disguised as something else that I didn't know I needed. And so for me, this was like a week away. I had just used 3 weeks on my paternity leave, all unpaid, and I'm accruing my vacation time on again. But you know, that's the beauties of working the day job. Still, I don't have that time freedom. You know, that's what I'm working towards. So that's the downfall of a day job in a situation like this. But you know, at the beginning, I felt super selfish that I even wanted to go with a newborn at home. why did I deserve this? And, you know, I lost sleep for like the first night for sure. And I talked to my wife and, you know, finally I'm like, yo, I need to go to this. And I talked to my good friend, Ben Haggerty, Ben Real vs. World. He was one of the top 10 tips last week. But crazy enough, Ben is shooting for people like Beyonce and Jay-Z. Well, last year he ended up being hired to shoot and direct Lewis's documentary that was all about the Summit of Greatness that he's shopping around to like Netflix right now. So my buddy Ben was at this event and I reached out to him because this dude is just a huge risk taker. And he was like, yo, the Summit is absolutely crazy. It's an insane marketing and relationship building place. Incredible speakers, the energy, the vibe. It's perfect for what you need right now. And if Lewis personally invited you as his guest VIP status, then dude, you are crazy not to go. So that's what kind of made my decision. So I talked to my wife. She said she understood but didn't understand. But at the same time, she's supporting my dreams. And that meant so much to me. Emily, I don't know if you're listening, but that meant so much to me because this trip wasn't about me. It was how could I build something that could set us our family up. And I know that's a trap too, to be like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm working hard now so I don't have to later. You know, there's a trap to that. But, you know, this I felt compelled to do this. For me, the regret of being on my deathbed, wondering what if I didn't go, would have haunted me the rest of my life. So from there on, I said yes to Lewis. I got the ticket. He put a promo code Scotty. I went to his site, got a free ticket from it. And I drove 9 hours solo last minute to Columbus, Ohio, all by myself and had to like hurry and find an Airbnb that was kind of out of the way. So the Uber rides that I was taking was nonstop. So I racked up some dollar bills on my credit card, my business credit card with all those Uber trips, but it is what it is. So the whole way down there, I ended up downloading his School of Greatness book. And again, it was just a timely thing. And the first chapter is all about vision. And I realized when I was heading down there, the biggest thing that I lacked in my creative business side hustle with Perspective Collective is vision. I lacked clarity on this vision. I lacked struggling to distill my message and have confidence in moving forward, especially as I listened to the School of Greatness book. I'm just like, damn, I'm going here to actually find the answers that I needed. So I went in with the plan. And, you know, I talked this internal struggle out with my wife, and all of this ended up leading to a life-changing experience and provided this new focus and intent that I'm coming with you today about creative fuel and fueling your mind and creative grind. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, first off, never be the smartest person in the room. When the biggest names in the world talk, you shut up and listen. Matter of fact, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. And at this event, I never was. It was awesome and intimidating. My goal there was to just be a sponge, soak up every word that they said, and take notes. And I took a shit ton of notes. And I had to scavenge through all these notes to build this episode. So my goal is to always take what I learned, package it up, and share it with you. And there was a lot of overlap in each speaker's message, which I took as a sign of this is what I needed to focus on. I have no doubt that this overlap is what allowed these people to become great in their fields of expertise. If successful people preach the same message, that means there's something to it, right? That's why I encourage you to soak up the rest of this episode like a sponge and apply what vibes to you the most within your creative grind. And before I dive into these next 4 takeaways from the summit, I think it's important first to define my definition of greatness and why I feel you and I were born for it. So what is greatness? I feel like I've been on to something over these years, as the definition Lewis gives of greatness parallels very similar to the definition of my version of the secret sauce, aka the sweet spot, your sweet spot. And greatness is at the center of these overlapping 3 areas. So, number 1, finding your greatest strength. What is it that you're just the best at that comes so naturally and easy to you, and it's your strongest asset, and maybe you don't realize it's your strongest asset yet. So that's number 1. The second area is finding your passion. What do you enjoy doing the most that you can lose yourself in for hours, get lost in the sauce? Next thing you look up, it's been 3 hours away and you've just been stippling and enjoying the hell out of yourself. Okay, those are the first two areas. And I really believe when you can combine your strength with your passion, that equals your gift. When you find that gift, that's what you need to give to the world. And the third area is all about serving the greatest needs. So once you find your greatest strength and once you find your greatest passion, you have that gift. Now you need to find where your gift makes the biggest impact or serves the biggest audience. And I believe this is called your vocation. So for me, that's what greatness is. To sum it up, it's finding your gift and using it to make the biggest impact as possible. And this is why you're born for greatness. We exist on this earth's surface to be a part of something much bigger than ourselves. And we exist not to play it safe, and we have to do our best not to ignore that call. We all have a call. We just have to have our spider sense tingling to pick that call up. We're wired to create. We're wired to build relationships, operate at a high level, and become the greatest version of ourselves. We're not here to be normal. So many of us have this potential, yet we wait for someone to give us permission to believe it. We wait for people to tell us it's okay to chase our dreams or to tell us that we belong. We often play the victim to our environment. I know I totally did, especially in that 3 Life Lessons from Pizza series. Really get to know me in that one. But we often let adversity convince us to settle for a small life and fall in line with the status quo. It encourages us to become sheep. So you're here for a reason. You have a gift and you were born for greatness. And the following 4 takeaways, I believe, are some of the main ingredients to help you find what makes you great. All right, so here's the 4 main takeaways from the Summit of Greatness. Number 1, have clarity on your vision. And Amy Purdy, Paralympic medalist, actress, model, author, and motivational speaker. She was the last speaker on Saturday, but she led off her talk with this question. And it really hit home. I think you need a noodle on this too. She states, if your life was a book and you were the author, how would you like your story to go? Think about that for a little bit and we'll revisit that later. For me, vision was my biggest struggle heading to the conference. I have big dreams, yet they're blurry, not specific, and I've been half blindly stumbling in the right direction for the last few years because I have been seeing progress and I feel I'm on the right track, but I can't have a focused path and show up with intention if I'm not exactly sure what I want and who I want to be. More on this later, and I hope this gets your gears turning as well. So this trip gave me a new pair of high definition glasses that have allowed me to see my vision and how I want my story to go. Here are a few additional nuggets all about vision that we talked about at the conference. So have a clear vision of exactly who you want to be, what you want, why you want it, and when you want it to happen by. And write this stuff down. Write it, speak it, think it all into existence. And next up, Shaun T was one of the speakers. He's a motivational speaker, fitness guru. He did like hip hop abs and insanity, but he's all about transformation. And this also goes into a vision, especially when he brings on board new clients or people who buy his tapes. He always talks about, what do you want to transform to? And essentially that's your vision. So everything in life starts with your beliefs. If you believe you can, you're one step closer to it achieving it. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. I don't know who that quote's from, but look it up. It's a great quote and it's totally true. Next up, the power of intention. Declare what you want to do and declare who you want to be. Each day, show up and declare it. Have that vision of who you want to be and what you want to accomplish in life. And finally, Lindsey Sterling was there, pop star violinist and dancer, and she also is getting into public speaking. She crushed it. And she left us off with a quote, stay true and align to your vision, but always be able to reinvent yourself. And to me, this is all about being flexible. So yes, have this vision that's written out, that's spoken into existence, that you're working towards each day. But at the same time, realize that life changes, you evolve, you change as well, especially with the people you surround yourself with. And if you're getting around more high-level thinkers, then you have to be able to adapt, pivot, and be flexible and change if your dream or your vision starts to go down a different course. So be flexible. And again, I want to end it with what I began this with for having clarity on your vision. So if your life was a book and you were the author, how would you like your story to go? If there's one thing I want you to take away today, I want you to just have that sit in the back of your head and think about that throughout the rest of the week. By the time the weekend's over with, I would love to have you write out kind of these things and follow this format of what I'm going to talk about later with my declaration of my intent. So number 2, visualization is the key. Where your focus goes, energy flows. And that's by Tony Robbins. That was another quote that popped up a couple times. So one of the biggest things that I continue to hear through all these audiobooks, these podcasts, and these conferences that I go through is that your mind is your most powerful asset. If you can see it in your mind, you can become it. The brain is wired to keep us safe. And often we can talk and believe our brain into doing us harm. At the same time, we can flip it and wire our brain to help us succeed. The brain believes what it sees, and it's going to reflect that into your reality. So it's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to us to practice and focus on visualization that aligns with our vision. The more we continue to visualize our dreams and everything, eventually our brain is going to be tricked into showcasing that and portraying that into our reality. I know it sounds weird, but seriously, if the biggest names in the world are all talking about this, there's something to it. So again, tell yourself what you want to be and focus on that thought and that version of yourself each day. Wake up in the morning, set your intentions each day, and this is something I'm working on. Pretty much everybody in these books, any of these big wigs in these books, these podcasts, and at these conferences, they all have this morning ritual or routine. They do morning meditation sessions, they practice mindfulness, or they have these routines or rituals that help ground them to help them eliminate distractions throughout the day. They literally will sit there and they will visualize how their entire perfect day will go. And visualization has been important for me in the past. It's what really helped me get into speaking. Somehow I heard something. It's the Jim Carrey $10 million check story. I'll talk about that here shortly. But for me, that's when I first heard about visualization, when I was really getting into this personal development stuff. And I went into my first talk of 150 people in Alabama and then 800-ish people at Creative South. And visualization was key. I literally pictured myself on that stage going through my whole talk in front of a packed audience and absolutely crushing it. And so that's what I do before each one of my talks. And I get up on stage and I just black out. I black out and all my rehearsal, all my visualization kind of takes over, and I haven't had a bad speech yet. So knock on wood there, but visualization's been key for me, especially going into projects and freelance projects and pitching presentations at the day job. I'm always using visualization. And real quick, Jim Carrey's $10 million check story, look that up. It's truly inspiring. I think I have it linked up in the show notes at perspective-collective.com/101. But Jim Carrey's story is when he was getting into acting, I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, he knew he was going to be great. He wanted it, he felt it, he visualized it, and he wrote himself a $10 million check and put it in his pocket, and he set a timeline of when he was going to accomplish that. And I don't remember exactly how many years later, but he ended up getting hired and screened to do Dumb and Dumber. And when the movie came out, it blew up. It became a blockbuster hit. And he got paid $10 million, I think like a week early. So that $10 million check that he made for himself for rendered acting services due or some shit, he ended up attracting that, and he lived that in his mind each and every day. It's a crazy story, but it just shows the power of visualization. And you may think Jim Carrey's crazy, but that story is absolutely inspiring. I need to give a huge thank to our sponsor. So my homie, Tony Diaz, and the Industry Print Shop crew are leaders in the world of screen printing. They work with juggernauts like my homies, Lincoln Design Co., Benny Gold, and Volcom, and they want to make cool shit with you too. So if you're looking to get started in the merch game with prints or apparel, take advantage of this podcast listener-only deal. When requesting a quote at industryprintshop.com, mention promo code PERSPECTIVE to receive free screen setup up to $120 or get 100 free 3x3-inch die cut stickers on any new minimum orders placed. Here's an example. So say you have a 4-color design. This promo code literally saves you $120 right there with screen setup. Or get those stickers and leave your mark by plastering 100 of them of your designs across your turf. Make your name known. Either way, it's a win-win. So again, when requesting a quote online at industryprintshop.com, use promo code PERSPECTIVE and get your own merch out there into the world. Moving on to number 3, adversity is necessary. Often the curveballs in life hold us back from the things we truly want, when in reality, adversity belongs in the story you create for yourself. It's just another chapter. And one of the most powerful nuggets I got from this comment was from spoken word behemoth NQ. That's IN-Q, like is in question. And just so you know, I'm working on getting this dude on the show. So if you like propaganda, you're going to love NQ. And NQ gave an incredible poetic performance, and he spoke of adversity through a unique lens. Often we perceive life's punches through the perspective of this happened to me. Instead, NQ insists that we look through it the perspective of this happened for me. He states that the hard times in life are a bridge that lead us to the person we desire to become. We just have to see the bigger picture during these times and find the lessons within these failures. So again, instead of always complaining when shit doesn't go your way or, something bad happens in life, instead of being like, damn, this happened to me and telling everybody this happened to me, flip it. Try to see it through a different lens and state this happened for me. And a lot of my failures in life have led me to greater things with Perspective Collective in the podcast. So I can look back on it and be like, damn, that moment where I failed with my t-shirt company, this happened to me. No, this happened for me, as it built a bridge for me to stumble across Perspective Collective and do Perspective Podcast. So flip how you see things in your mind. Flip that lens in which you see the world. And here are a few other takeaways at adversity I want to challenge you with. So adversity and hitting rock bottom is really just laying the groundwork for a new foundation. Again, happened to me really leads to happen for me, of building that foundation. So change and challenges make you dig deep and get creative. And I believe this one was from A.B. Purdy or Lindsey Sterling. But change and challenge is good. It's going to put you through adversity. It's going to allow you to throw yourself in the fire, figure things along, get resourceful, and make shit happen for yourself. And maybe you're not the best creative of actually drawing or painting, but creativity is all about problem solving. So my wife says that she's not creative, but at the same time, she can go and build me a desk. She can go reorganize the freezer when it looks like there's no possible way we can fit 5 more things in there. She's creative in her own ways. And being creative is going to allow you to face and respond to adversity and these changing challenges much better. Next up, we talked about this back in episode 96, but be flexible, adapt, and roll with the punches. Be prepared for adversity to come your way. It's always on the horizon. It's always going to come and knock you on your ass when you least expect it. But again, that could be a blessing setting you up for something greater. And this one definitely is from Amy Purdy. She talks about how your biggest loss can become your biggest asset. And she gave an incredible story of how she ended up losing her legs. And she had all these dreams and goals and thought like her life was over and that she was dying, when now she has these new sets of legs that she can change heights on depending on how tall she wants to be that day. She's become an incredible inspiration for many other people who are missing limbs. But now she takes her story across the world. She traveled with Oprah on a speaking campaign, and now her new legs take her all across the world. So her biggest loss of her legs has now become her biggest asset with her legs. Incredible story. I highly encourage you looking her up. And next, Shanti talks about how you and we need to talk about the things we struggle with in order to reach our potential. And that's why I'm so big on sharing my story here and sharing the vulnerable moments of my story, because I'm hoping that me sharing my story and the adversity I've gone through will help you find the bridge in your story. Number 4, serve others first. Jay Shetty, award-winning storyteller and viral content creator, dropped an absolute beautiful nugget. He stated, "We're wired for generosity, but we're educated for greed." And to me, it seems like service is the X factor ingredient in the secret sauce for becoming great. All the speakers and entertainers were fantastic, but their focus on serving others, providing value, and encouraging their audience to become the best version of themselves really stood out to me. Here are a few additional points that hit home with me about serving. I missed who said this one, but we are happiest when we serve. Yet the system we live in convinces us we selfishly need more and that it's all about us. When truly, it's not. When we give freely with no expectations, things generally come back around to us. So give without expecting to receive. And that's what happened with me and Lewis Howes. I just offered free value to him. Let me serve you back for all the value you've given me with your podcast. And look how things turned around. And next, when you serve others and you give freely, this gives you the chance to build a legacy, to leave something behind far after you're gone. And what you give and these people you build up in life, what you create and who you impact with your story's going to live far on after you, and you're going to continue to create impact on people. And hopefully the people you impacted will then pass that on to the next person. So that's the beauty of serving others. Let's talk about my Born for Greatness formula. I told you I was going to give you a declaration, and you can follow these steps too if you want to. So first off, vision. What do I want and what do I want to become? And below, what I'm still working on is the timeline on when I want to accomplish these by. But this is everything I wrote out, and I'm speaking it into existence live right now with you. So first off, I want to have amazing relationships with my wife, my son, my family, and friends. For those who are still around, who still support me in my dream, even though I don't get as many phone calls as I did before because I'm so obsessed with Perspective Collective, these are the people I want to make sure I'm serving and providing value to, and just being an amazing husband, son, father, friend, sibling, cousin. All of these. I want to be the best I possibly can, supportive, showing up and being at events, and just a loving individual to all these people in my life. Next, I want to operate life in the best physical and mental shape possible. One of the big themes there is the more you focus on self-help and self-health, the more you can become a vessel to serve others, the more energy that you'll have to give to other people. So that's why at the beginning of the new year, Emily and I are going to go take on an 8 to 10 week course just to kick our ass and radically get myself back in shape and get me uncomfortable. I'm tired of having this dad bod. Next up, I want to have a thriving career of being the best creative, motivational coach, speaker, artist, and teacher that I can be while having time and financial freedom with no debt to my name. I want to be able to give my time, my energy, and my money away freely without stressing on how it may affect me or my family. I want to have a charity I can give to, or maybe start a charity of my own someday. I want to leave behind something that my son can be proud of. Most importantly, that's one of my main reasons I get up to bed each day, is to build something that he can be proud of, and to build something that other people like you find value in. And finally, I want to make a positive impact and empower as many people as possible in this world. And currently, that's through the podcast, and to creatives, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. Next up, visualization. The more I envision myself thriving in each one of these areas, the closer I am to aligning my reality with this mindset. That means I'm being more conscious of the words I say to myself each day and using my words, my thoughts, and beliefs as weapons for positive change in my life. And this goes back to episode 97, the 4-step blueprint for kicking ass in your creative career in life. I really touched heavily on this, so go back and listen to that one if you want more on how you can equip your mind. I'm going to have my vision and my beliefs plastered all around me so I see them each day to make it difficult to lose focus and be distracted. And that's going to help me with my visualization process. If I have it right here in front of me in the bathroom or right here in front of me in my office, you may think it's crazy, but I'm sorry, other people who are achieving the kind of success I want to do are doing this, so I'm going to do it too. And finally, I'm going to wake up each morning and declare my intentions for the day and visualize how I'm going to execute my agenda. So I'm recording here at like 4:30 in the morning. There's so much going on. I'm still prepping for episode 100 right now, and I needed to get this done to get it out to Áine so I can hit my dates on time and not be rushed. And now, since the conference, I've been waking up in the morning and taking just 5 minutes to close my eyes, breathe in deeply, block out everything that's about anything around me. And in my mind, I'm walking through that one thing I'm going to crush in the morning before I go to work. And I'm visualizing my whole day, how it's going to go, how I'm going to show up at work today at the day job and just crush it there with these web projects that are heavy on my plate, how I'm going to go to the gym and just murder it there, and then how I'm going to come home, be available, and be a killer dad and killer husband. So I'm setting my attention each day, and I'm visualizing it the first thing I do each morning. And I'm really trying to get into meditation. So if you are doing meditation, kudos to you. That's fantastic. Shoot me your recommendations, because I would like to get into it and just slowly but surely, slowly work my way into a routine with that. Next up, adversity. My declaration here is that I'm going to continue to seek out the lessons and roll with the punches when adversity knocks me on my ass. I'm constantly learning to love the crust like back in episode 95 and seek out those moments that are going to help mold my future self. The hard times I faced and will continue to face on the horizon are just bridges being built towards my vision of becoming great. And finally, service. The more I continue to put out episodes, open up, share my story, be vulnerable, and binge on this content, this timely content that seems to land on my lap and giving me the things that help me articulate, what I have the most trouble distilling in my message, that's showing up here. So in service, I'm understanding that my gift right now, the passion and strength, is my ability to create meaningful work that applies my spoken message of encouragement. I excel at connecting people and building community of like-minded people who want to contribute to something bigger than themselves. So the best way I can create an impact on as many people as possible during this season of my life are by broadcasting this message to every pocket of the planet through the podcast. That's what I'm doing right now. Number 2, cultivating and growing a community of conscious achievers through the Perspective-Collective Facebook group. There's your plug right there if you want to be a part of this. Number 3 is pouring out uplifting art, design, and content through all my social media channels. I'm just blasting positive words to you. And finally, I'm serving the best of my abilities by focusing on giving value to each person I come in contact with, whether it's in person or online. I want you to leave a conversation with me feeling like I gave you something, or you have a little bit more pep in your step, or a little bit more fire to go on and crush your day, crush your week, crush your month, your life. I want to give that to people. That truly makes me feel fulfilled, for sure. And overall, I'm dedicated to being just a serving machine to my fellow humanity, and I want to use my platform for the greatest good. So this is my declaration of how I'm going to be great, my definition of great. And I feel it in my bones when I've had conversations with people, like really deep conversations. I'd rather cut through the bullshit and just have a real conversation with people. And for me, I was born for greatness. That's why I'm here. I'm here to do something special. I fully believe it. And I didn't really start believing it until I was like 26 and 27. I just had this feeling. It's when I went to Creative South for the first time. I caught a future glimpse of my potential, of what I was able to create and do and make for myself. And now when I went to the Summit of Greatness conference, man, that just poured like 5 tubs of gasoline onto this fire that I had brewing. And I'm on fire right now. And this summit gave me the tools to confidently pursue my definition of greatness and just own this new role as a creative coach and step into it and embrace it and understand that not everyone's going to love me, my message, my work, my approach. And that's totally okay. That's fine. That person's on a different frequency if they want to hate, and that's fine. I don't want to align with people like that. I don't want to be surrounded with people like that, because the people you surround yourself with, that's what's truly going to take you to the next level. And, I want to be surrounded by high-level thinkers, creative thinkers, people just making moves who believe in themselves and their abilities. That's the people I want to be around. I want to finish this off by letting you know that you don't need permission, and neither do I. I truly believe we weren't put on this planet by accident. We aren't here to be average and settle for a passive life of just going through the motions each day. We weren't meant for that. You have a purpose. I have a purpose. And it's your job and my job to figure out your purpose by finding your gift and how you can make an impact on others with it. You were born for greatness, and you don't need anyone's permission to make shit happen for yourself. Go out, stake your claim, and make it happen. Episode 101 in the bag. PC family, I hope you're digging this new, focused, intentional direction that I'm going. I'm a sucker for personal development, and I love encouraging my creative peers. So at the end of the day, to me, this is like creative personal development for your mind and your grind. That's exactly what it is. I want to help you build your brains. I want to help you, equip yourself to take on the world, to bounce back through adversity, to deal with the haters. Because the more you continue to show up and focus on your dream and embrace yourself and put out the message you believe in, you're going to attract the right people. But at the same time, there's going to be people that want to tear you down. It's going to happen. And this type of content that I'm producing is meant to hopefully gear and equip your mind to withstand some of these things, to just be bulletproof, to continue to believe in yourself, because it starts internally. When you can silence that inner critic and put your best self out there without giving a fuck what anybody else is going to think about you that just wants to tear you down, then you're onto something. So be open to constructive criticism for people in the arena who are throwing down and working towards their goals just like you are. I'll be open to what these people have to say to me, unless they're coming at it in a wrong way. But for me, that's what this is about. And I want to continue to fuel what makes you great. I want to help you find that. And so you can find that gift and give it to the world. Share that gift with the world. That's what this whole show is about. And I'm so stoked that I've finally been able to distill this message and tell you what exactly this show is. And it might evolve again a year from now when I unlock that next level, or I flip through that next chapter in my life. So that's what this is right now, is fuel for your mind and creative grind. That's exactly what this is. So if you're vibing out to what you hear today, again, let's connect. Please take a screenshot of whatever podcast episode you're listening to. Tag me on Instagram. Let's connect through the stories. And, I would love to know what you hear about this new direction. Please, again, and if you want to celebrate episode 100 merch, there's still some available at perspective-collective.com/shop. Not a ton, but enough that you can get your hands on it now before it's all gone. Moving forward, I'm doing something new. I'm combining the dose of inspiration with the weekly review, and I'm calling this the Listener of the Week. And I'm doing this from a time and efficiency standpoint, as I want to make sure I'm still sharing the spotlight on someone in the audience, someone like you. I always want to give back and build community here. But at the same time, I need to speed up my workflow with the newsletter and prepping each episode and working with Paige each week. And it'll make it hopefully a little quicker on Áine too. So in this section, I'll be reading your Apple Podcast / iTunes review, or I'm going to be taking some type of podcast testimonial of messages you've sent me through email or direct message on social media. So let's get started in this next chapter. So this one is a review that comes from Histor33, and this dude titled it Crack for Creatives. He states, I've been binging this podcast for the past week and honestly can say that I don't feel like I've wasted a second of my time. Scotty's ability to enlighten through funny metaphors, relevant information, and great guest interaction is a treatment to his talent for podcasting. Thank you. That means a lot. He's a super humble dude who isn't afraid to put his own shortcomings under a microscope for the benefit of his listeners. Damn straight, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And serving the creative community is his passion, as he's truly genuine in this effort. You will not regret listening to this podcast. This one came in August 4th. And that literally summed up exactly what I talked about today of what my intentions are. He summed it up and articulated it way better than I could have. Thank you so much. I sincerely have enjoyed our little conversations online, and you showed me the process of your work. So shout out to you, homie. Thanks for putting in the work and listening to the show. And as I wrap things up, I need to give a huge thanks to Áine, Brennan, all the way from Ireland, for making this sound so good. And my executive assistant, Paige, Garland. You do so much for me to help me get an episode out each week. It's insane how much you help me out with. So I could not do this without both of you. And a huge thanks goes out to my homie Nick Jenkins of Blookah for all the dope theme music you hear on this show. Listen and support him at SoundCloud, Spotify, and Instagram at Blookah. That's BLOOKAH. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to continue to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this.